Thank you for being here. I'm Megan, and today's practice is a simple somatic yoga practice to help relieve your back and spine. It might be because you're sitting too much in a car at a desk, or maybe you had a big Labradane pulling you down the road in this morning's walk. But either way, these are very practical movements that we can do to help keep our spine juicy. So for this practice, you may want to have two blocks if you don't like being on your wrists. I'll give you an option on the blocks, and a blanket underneath your knees, because we will be coming to all fours. So as you're doing that, remember too to subscribe for me, and thank you Patreons for all of your support in keeping these videos coming. So we're going to show you how to use the blocks first. If you want to use the blocks, you can take your forearms to them so that there's no weight in your wrists, and you may want to take them lower or higher, just trying to get the shoulders to the height of the spine. So if you want to use those, go ahead and do that. You'll notice I do have a blanket underneath my knees to support and pad the knees. You could also just double up your mat. So coming into all fours, or what we call table pose, we're going to explore what I call the somatic cat cow. So similar to the cat cow, in the first part, in the inhalation, we're going to create extension of the spine or a back bend. But we're going to do it from different places. So I first want you to feel the space in your upper chest. You can even touch that area, or think even your collarbones. And I want you to take a breath into that area and just imagine it floating forward, and then relieve that. Relieve it, let it go. Inhale, float forward. Exhale, release it. So breathing into the chest, and then if you want to add a little bit more, squeeze the shoulder blades just slightly. And notice how you're compressing the backside and opening the chest, and then release that. So chest floats forward, shoulder blades squeeze, and then release. Do one more from this upper chest area, the shoulder area, and then we'll move on. So now think of your rib cage, particularly the lower part of your rib cage. If you were to wrap an inner tube around your ribs, breathe into your rib cage and let your rib cage float downward and slightly forward, and then just release that. The other thing you can do is think about the back of the rib cage, your center of your spine. Gently push it down towards the floor, and see how that works. So now we're working through the center, that thoracic spine area. You got 12 big vertebrae to work through. But does it feel different than moving from the upper vertebrae? And then lastly, and if you have any pain in your low back, in your lumbar area, you may want to skip this one. What we typically see a lot of times in this cow of the cat cow is the lifting of the tailbone. So all the lumbar area is getting compressed. But what you can do is just gently breathe into your belly and imagine your belly floating sort of back and down. So it's going to float back towards your feet and down. Breathe into your belly. Feel that arch in your low back, and then release. So see how that one goes. You can also lift the tailbone if you want more compression in the low back. Think of lifting your coccyx up towards the sky. So now let's put that all together, but we're going to make sure our head's moving too. So inhale, come into that arch, squeeze the shoulder blades, lift your tailbone if you want. Think of filling your front body all the way from the navel center to the throat. And then exhale, just release it. And what typically happens is you see the head coming up. I'm going to ask you to inhale and look back at your tailbone or between your thighs. And then exhale, release. So you're going to go the opposite way with the head. Inhale, look back. If you're used to doing a lot of yoga, I know it feels backward. Give me some feedback. Were you able to do it? Inhale, look back between the legs. So the back of the neck is lengthening. And one more. As we lengthen the back of the neck, one of our curves, the other lower curve in the lumbar spine is compressing. So they're doing the opposite thing. Okay, so now that we made our way through that one, let's do the second round. In the second round, we will come into the cat, but we're going to do it differently again. So I want you to breathe into your backside. Visualize your backside, starting from the shoulder blades. Breathe into the space between the shoulder blades. Push into your hands and spread the shoulder blades away from your spine. And breathe out and just feel yourself fall with gravity. So we breathe in, push down, spread the shoulder blades. So imagine breathing into your upper back, the upper portion of your lungs, and breathe down. let go. Breathe out, let go. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, release. The next space we go to is the center of the spine. So again, you can visualize the backs of your ribs. Breathe in. Fill the backs of the ribs up, the back body. Think of your lower lobes of your lungs. Breathe out, empty them, and just let it fall. So can you move from the center of the spine again? And you'll typically see in yoga that we do this on an exhale, which I never quite get because I want to visualize the back body and give it as much love and spaciousness as the front body by breathing into it. And the breath in creates space. It's levity. The breath out is the gravity. And then we can move all the way into the low back. Let's make some space in the low back. So now, as you breathe in, visualize your low back, and maybe you tilt that tailbone down a little bit. And breathe out and release. So these little subtle changes of moving from the upper back, the mid back, or the lower back. Can you feel that? And then make any movement with any combination. So you could spread your shoulder blades, you could lift the center of the spine, you could take your tailbone down, push into your hands, maybe even your knees. Find that full cat arch as you breathe in. And we'll add the head to this one. So on this one, you typically see the head tuck under. I want you to find that full arch and look or curl and look forward and release. So look up. It's like your tail is following your tongue. And release. Inhale, come forward. And exhale, release. So now that we have those two, feel free to take your arms into a little resting position for a moment. Maybe even, let's stretch the hands out. Take your hands the other way. Stretch your wrists if you're there. You can rock back and forth. And so we're going to put those two movements together. So the movement will always be on the inhalation. The exhalation is just the release. When I say the come back to space of grace. So now as you inhale, you're going to fill the front body, compress the back body, however it felt best for you, but look back at your tail. Exhale, release. Now inhale, fill the back body, shorten the front body from the tailbone to the collarbones, and look forward. Tail is following your tongue. Exhale, just release. Inhale, tongue follows the tail to the back. Squeeze the back side, open the front side. Exhale, release. Inhale, open the back side. Squeeze the front side. Tail following tongue. And take a few more. Remember to come back on the exhalation and just let your spine float to its natural position, whether it's up or down. And then from here, we can start to add just a little bit on the exhalation, push, or on the after you lift on the inhalation into the curl, push back just a little bit, a little more stretch for the backside, then come back. So you might inhale, find your arch, tongue towards tail, exhale, release, inhale, round, exhale, push back, if that feels okay. And then come back again, inhale, arch, look at your tail, exhale, release, inhale, curl, press back on the exhale. Let's do one more round. Inhale, arch, look at your tail, squeeze the back body, stretch the front body, exhale, release. Inhale, curl, tailbone down. Exhale, press back. Wherever it feels okay for you. All right. And then we'll come back up and we're going to do another one on our knees. This one, though, I'm going to have you take, this is really simple, but have you take your left knee behind the right, cross your thighs a little bit. And you can take hands maybe out to the sides more if it's more comfortable. Remember, you can use the blocks, forearms on the blocks. And you're just going to exhale and press back just a little bit. And inhale and rock forward. And exhale and press back. Just to where it's comfortable. You'll notice the right knee will pop up a little bit off the floor. That's okay. If you want to come more forward, you can move your hands more forward and lengthen. Then you'll feel your left knee lift up. It's up to you. Just be playful, rock back as you breathe out, rock forward as you breathe in, gently hugging the thighs. Sense the way the pinky toe side of the right foot is touching the ground and the left foot touching the ground. Last one, rocking back. You can hold that last one. You might even be still and put a block underneath your head. Wherever it feels good for you, feel the spread and the spaciousness across your low back, your hips, and your buttocks. And then come forward and up again. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So uncross and cross. Right leg behind the left this time. So this is my tighter side. If it doesn't want to go all the way, you might barely be pushing back. That's okay. Inhale, rock forward, heart and tail forward. Exhale, tail and heart back. Or think of your tongue chasing your tail again and your tail chasing your tongue. As you go back, your tongue chases your tail back. As you come forward, your tail chases your tongue forward. And just rocking back and forth. Left knee can lift up as you go back. Get a little stretch in your outer hips perhaps as well, moving around the spine. Do as many as you want in motion. And then we can stop and hold. And in that hold, if your head's not touching the ground, you can use your arms or bring the block in. Rest your head on a block. Not pushing down, but just letting gravity hold the weight of your body. Feeling the spaciousness in around your pelvis and your low back. Maybe even your upper back. And then slowly working your way back up. And we're going to come down onto the ground onto our backside. So this next one is something you'll see more typically in somatics you may be familiar with. Either way, we're going to show it to you and you can do it with us. So it starts with, it's the pelvic clock face is what I call it. But it starts with what we call an arch and a curl. So the cat cow that we just did is basically going to be the same movement, but you're going to inhale and arch your back, press your tailbone down, press your shoulder blades down and feel your back come into a little curl. And now as you exhale, lift the tailbone and lift the shoulders. Imagine shortening your front body and lengthening your back body. So you can roll your arms to this too. Inhale, arch, press shoulder blades into the ground, press tailbone down. Exhale, curl, lift shoulder blades, lift tailbone. So if you find that it's aggravating your back in any way to use your tailbone, then think of moving from your belly or even from your rib cage. So on the inhalation, the rib cage lifts. On the exhalation, the rib cage presses down. So just like we did with the cat cow, you can take this in. What part of your spine feels most fluid and comfortable moving? Perhaps it's your shoulders. Moving from your shoulders, pressing them down as you breathe in, lifting them up as you breathe out. And just sense the way your front and back body are responding. As you breathe in, the front body is stretching through the whole area of pelvis to chest. And as you're breathing out, the back body is stretching and you're squeezing the front side. So we're getting a compression on the back side, on the breath in and the arch, just like we did in the cow position. And then we're going right into the exhale and squeezing the front body and making space in the back body. So I'm adding my arms coming in and out a little bit more. We're curling the arms, rotating them inward on the exhale, and rotating them outward on the inhale. This one generally feels really good to find that rocking. So once we found the rocking, then we add the other parts in. So the tailbone down, I want you to think of the tailbone area or the base of your spine as your 12 o'clock. Your ribs and just above your navel center is your 6 o'clock. So we've been rocking from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Let's add the other numbers in. So your right hip is going to be your 3 o'clock and your left hip your 9 o'clock. So lift up your 3 o'clock, your right hip. See how that feels. And then let it go. And then lift up your 9 o'clock, your left hip, and let it go. So what you might notice is that initially to do this, we want to really push into the heel to lift up one hip and then let go. If you're doing it to your breath, you want to lift on the inhalation, let it come back down on the exhalation. So how does that feel? And you're feeling this tilting motion of your pelvis, right? You'll roll through your sacrum and then all the weight goes into one side of your hip while the other lifts. So the other thing you could do is whichever side the weight is going in, rather than lifting the upper side, push that side down into the ground. So maybe you're lifting your left hip, pushing right hip down. So, or lifting your 3 o'clock up and pressing your 9 o'clock down. See if you can use more of your hip muscles now and let the legs be a little bit more relaxed, less pushing into the heel. So there's your side to side. You might notice my head likes to roll back and forth. Let your head be relaxed like a nice ball, rolling back and forth with your hips. So once we find that motion, like we're walking in place, we can put it all together. So we go the 12 o'clock down into the earth, the 3 o'clock into the earth, the 6 o'clock into the earth, and the 9 o'clock. So we're going around, tailbone down, right hip down as the left hip lifts, center the spine or the low ribs down, and then the left hip and low back down. So we're going around in circles. Take your time and explore, keeping the legs as relaxed as possible. And all the way around, add the rest of the numbers on the clock. Go very slow. And this one's really juicy for the low back, for the lumbar area. But you're also letting your neck just float from side to side however it wants. Keep the shoulders and arms relaxed. You can switch the direction. You might go counterclockwise. 12 o'clock goes down to the floor, the tailbone. Then the left hip, your 9 o'clock. 6 o'clock, low back and low ribs. And then the 3 o'clock, your right hip. So switching sides. Take a few more of these. Let your head be playful. So the other thing I imagine is that I'm drawing circles with my pelvis. I also want to draw those circles with my nose. So that can help to release your neck. As your pelvis turns in circles, let your pelvis kind of follow your tail. So tongue following the tail once again. Drawing circles with your tongue and your tail, or your nose and your tail, whichever one you can see more clearly. And then we'll stop, relax. If you want to take your legs out long for a moment, we're going to take a full body stretch, full body yawn, I call it. Reach overhead, press through heels, inhale, exhale. Let it all relax as much as Milo's doing back there. Be Milo for a moment. We have one last one, and it's going to seem quite simple, but I know in teaching it in classes, it's not as simple as it looks. And it can be very powerful. And this is definitely great release when you feel like your low back is stuck. But be patient and be kind to yourself. So we're going to take the legs and reach them up towards the sky. They don't have to be fully extended, but wherever it's comfortable for you. Just kind of wiggle your feet around, shake your legs, jelly roll your knees. And if your low back is uncomfortable at all, you can take your hands underneath here, underneath your buttocks, just for a little bit of support. So what we want to feel is that when we take the legs up, we don't want the back in that arch position. We want the low back long and on the ground to start. So hands can come under here to help support it. So just feel the weight of your leg bones and your feet. Let them stop moving. And begin to notice your breath in and your breath out. And what we're going to do is slowly let the legs fall towards the body. Each breath out, they maybe fall an inch. So take a breath, or for those of you that are in centimeters, 3 centimeters. So take a breath in, feel the position of your body. And as you breathe out, just let the legs slowly fall just a little bit. Breathe in, notice. Breathe out, feel the weight of your thighs coming towards your rib cage, towards your torso. Breathe in, notice. Breathe out and fall. So it seems really simple, but what we're doing is we're letting the muscles relax slowly, the muscles in the legs, and giving that low back a stretch. Breathe in, feel, breathe out. As you come further down, you may not need your hands there anymore. And then eventually the thighs will fall as far as they can and will. They can fall to your sides more or towards your torso. Keep breathing in and then breathing out until the calves fold towards the backs of the thighs. And notice the way that now you've lifted your tailbone perhaps a little bit off the ground and you've got that long low back. And then take a moment, slide the feet back to the ground, let the low back and the buttocks come down. We're going to do that one 2 more times. So really take your time exploring this. Shoulders relaxed, head and neck. Take your legs up, shake them out, take a breath in, breathe out, let them fall just a little bit, like a slow descent. Breathe in, breathe out, let them fall. If you notice what's falling first, are your heels. You could let your heels fall first or your thighs. Doesn't matter. But as your legs fall in, you're starting to feel a little bit more stretch or spaciousness through your buttocks and your low back. Just giving into that support underneath you, feeling how the tailbone will begin to lift. Breathing in, breathing out and falling. And you may want to play with, when you fall, your knees could be closer together or wider apart. It'll stretch your hips differently. This is one you probably won't do at work. Not that practical, but useful. I find it's really helpful if I've been sitting in the car. And then fall to that space where you can completely relax. Notice you might feel your buttocks lifting up, low back long. And then let the legs come back down again. We'll do one last time. Lift the legs up towards the sky. Shake them out a little bit. Notice the way that the buttocks is touching the ground. You might even feel that little bit of arch in the lumbar spine, but let the low back relax and the ribs relax. And then breathe out and let the legs fall. Breathe in and feel the position. Feel the weight of your leg bones, your knees, those big, strong thighs. Letting them slowly descend towards your body. Sometimes it helps me if I imagine like I have big, heavy shoes on or something. And just letting them fall. Remember the day when we do aerobics with ankle weights on, right? You got your ankle weights on. Slowly letting the legs fall until there's nothing left to do. There's no holding. The muscles are relaxed in the legs. Low back is long. Take a few breaths there. And then let the feet slide back onto the floor. You can take the legs out long if you'd like, and just take a moment to relax. If this is pulling on your low back, then do the same thing, but heels wide apart, knees falling inward. A lot of times that's more comfortable. And just feeling the relationship between the ground and your back and spine. Notice the breath and just ride the waves of your breath up and down your torso. Breathe in, let the breath come up the torso and the spine as if it's touching each vertebrae, each muscle and nerve. And breathing out, letting yourself sink into that sense of support underneath you. Breathe in and up the spine, climbing each vertebrae. Breathe out and feel all of those vertebrae release deeper into the earth. We can feel the spaciousness of the breath as the air comes in our lungs. Stretching the ribs. Think of the point where the ribs connect to the spine, creating space in and around the spine. And breathing out and just releasing and relaxing. 3 more rounds of breath, just for you and your back and spine. When you're ready to move, perhaps you want to do a full body yawn again. Just acknowledge all the spaces in your body from your toes to your fingers. Full body stretch on an inhale. Arch your back. There's that back bend. And exhale. Let it relax. Before coming up, you may want to consider rolling to one side and using your arms to push your way up. And always see how you feel after these practices. Do you feel more relaxed, more relief, longer in your spine? And also, what did you say to yourself? Did you feel safe? That's really important. Sometimes the most important thing we do for our back and spine is find the place where there's potential and where there's safety. So I hope you found some of that. If not, I have lots of other back care classes you can try as well. But thanks for joining me. Peace, joy, love, and light.